Welcome to my seminar on running. This is for Clinical Instructional Skills class. I have an audience of adult learners and they are all interested in marathon training and the process, and that is what we are going to talk about, and some running tips in general. A little background about me. My first ambitious experience with running started when I was in about 7th grade. I decided to join the track team because it was cool, even though I definitely don't have a runner's body, but I love running, and we'll talk about how runners get addicted to the sport in a minute. Anyway, I did that for a while, and I immediately recognized that running was something that I had to incorporate into my exercise life, that life would not be complete without running in it, and neither would a workout. So I continued to run throughout my life until I got pregnant, and I continued to run, and I decided that during my pregnancy that my life was going to end once I had a child, so I had to hurry and train for my first race. So I decided to run a half marathon, and I was pregnant 20 weeks when I did that, and it was a great experience. And yes, my doctor was fine with that, and there were no complications. As long as you've been running previously, it's fine to run a short race like that. I'm pregnant. And after that, I knew that I had to run a full marathon, because the race that I had particularly done, you start out with half marathoners and full marathoners, actually the Salt Lake Marathon. And I almost felt bad, even though I was pregnant, that I wasn't doing the full marathon, like I hadn't fully completed something. So 1 year after I had my daughter, my mother and I, she's actually 50, it was amazing, she did her first marathon as well. We did our first full marathon, and it was a great experience, and I was hooked. And I'm currently training for my 4th full marathon, and I'm going to do Ogden. I've done that race before. It's a great race. And even though I'm not necessarily considered a very veteran runner in comparison with some, we'll talk about pacing teams in a little while. They're runners that run more marathons than someone might run in their entire lifetime, probably 1 or 2 a weekend. So there are definitely some diehards out there, but even though I've only done a couple, I definitely have learned the ropes and have enough information to give you some idea. All of this stuff here is involved in racing and training for a marathon, and even running in general. And so hopefully that helps you guys and anyone that might be watching who's interested in training or starting to run. So let's talk about the health benefits of running. Running can obviously help you get in shape and maintain an ideal body weight. People lose weight obviously when they start running, but after a while your body sort of stabilizes, and it's harder for runners to lose after a while, and they really have to start taking more extreme measures with their diet if they want to get to a lower weight for racing, which actually happens a lot. I'm sure that many of you have seen professionals and they look very ultra thin, and the reason for that is if you're lighter, you can race faster. And some of these people, these professional athletes, they can make up to several $100,000 a year if they win some of the big races. So that can be very beneficial for them if they have the body type for that and the talent. A person will generally burn about 100 calories per mile that is run or even walked, actually. How fast you run really has little effect on that. So all people that are interested in running will definitely burn calories no matter how far they've gone. And other benefits include lower blood pressure. Runners tend to have extremely low blood pressure in comparison with someone that isn't a runner or is not an active person. It helps elasticize the arteries, and so that's a benefit to them. It also helps maximize lung potential. It makes the lungs strong and powerful. The 50% of the lung potential that we normally don't use is utilized during running, and so it can even help a smoker recover from that, and smokers can fully recover from the lung potential that they lose during smoking, but if they take up running and quit smoking, they can fully gain that back by running. Running also strengthens the heart. It helps prevent heart attacks. The heart of an inactive person beats 36,000 more beats per minute in comparison with a runner. So definitely has a lot of health benefits. I talked about before how I kind of became addicted to running. That happens for most runners. It happens because beta endorphins are released into the nervous system, and the runners become addicted to this intense high, and it can actually, in many cases, for people that have been addicted to drugs or alcohol, people that take up running, it can completely replace that and help people get over those addictions because it's such a powerful release of endorphins. So gear, let's talk about gear. I could talk about gear for a long time. Gear is really important in running, in my opinion. It makes it a more comfortable experience if you have better products. Most people think, you know, I'm going to start running. I'm just going to put on my tennis shoes and a t-shirt and get out there. Well, that's great. People should start getting active, but if you really want to get serious about running and protect yourself, you should invest in better gear, especially shoes, which we're going to get to in a second. Let's see. Okay, as far as shoes go, yeah, let's start with shoes. Shoes are the most important thing when it comes to running. You need to protect your feet. Injuries are going to put you back on the couch. They're not fun. I've had many in my day. The good thing about it is most injuries only last a couple of weeks. They're not severe necessarily, and then you can get back going. But let me grab some shoes. So these are my running shoes. They're an old pair, actually. My other pair, my good pairs in my gym bag. You only want to wear your running shoes for approximately 500 miles. You can tell on this shoe, probably maybe not so well, but it's completely worn out, so the technology is gone. You can continue to use these shoes for walking or gardening, but as far as running, they've lost the technology that will protect you from injuries. And also something that you want to invest in, these are old so they don't look too great, but they're like Drymax socks. They're going to help you a ton in comparison with cotton socks. The material will wick away the sweat and your feet will feel better. It'll protect you from fungal problems that you can get, and it'll just be a better experience for you. These are features. You can get them at a running store, and that's the next thing that I want to talk about. So you decide you're going to buy some running shoes. Well, Sports Authority, Dick's, they sound like great options because they're sports stores. That's not really where you want to start though. It's best to find a local running store that will analyze your foot gait, because people have different types of gaits, and it's really important to get the best kind of shoes for your gait. Local stores around here that are really good, we have Strider's in Layton. They can do that for you. They'll put you on a treadmill and analyze your gait, or Salt Lake Running Company downtown is great, Wasatch Running. And Salt Lake Running Company, you get your 8th pair free if you become a veteran runner with them, so that's kind of an added benefit of going there. I need a volunteer from the audience to come up. So say you don't feel comfortable going in and you want to get a better idea before you go into the store. One thing that you can do is you can analyze your foot gait technically on your own. It's better to go to a professional, but I'll give you a little bit of an idea by having my volunteer come up. So I'm going to have you get your feet wet right here.
Both of them? Should I take off my shoes?
Yeah.
Okay. Both shoes?
Yeah. Okay. Okay, so she's gonna get her feet wet.
Want to turn that? Or?
Sure, yeah.
Okay, just step on it.
Uh-huh. Okay. Thanks. Take a seat. So, I just had her get her foot wet in some water. We used it's like a paint tray, easy. And it shows the shape of the foot. And she actually has a really great foot for running. Because you can see here how her foot isn't flat. And you know, it has the perfect shape here. People with really, really high arches, sometimes you won't even see any of this middle part because their arch is so high. And people with flat feet, it's going to be just one big wet spot. So you ideally have the perfect foot for running, so congratulations.
Thanks.
So, sorry, I'm trying to find this part in my notes as far as foot shape. Okay, so there are 3 different shoe types. Motion control for those that have low arches or flat feet. That's me. It's unfortunate. When you have that, you overpronate, which means that when you run, you sort of try to overcorrect yourself so your feet go inward as you hit the ground. And then there's stability running shoes for people like you with normal arches that are lucky and they have a foot strike that evenly distributes. So you might think, oh, well, I can just go get a normal tennis shoe. No, running shoes, you know, are definitely better than basketball shoes or just a regular tennis shoe because they'll give you more support. You need that. There are some movements nowadays. You probably heard about barefoot running and there's some other different types of shoes that have some benefits and you know, I'm kind of a purist. I still believe in the traditional running shoe, but if you're interested in that, you can research that on your own. There's tons of brands online and different ideas as far as that goes. And then the last one, cushion controlled running shoes for the people with really high arches. So instead of overpronating, they tend to underpronate or supinate, and this causes like the lack of rotation causes shock on the joints, and the cushioning of the shoe will help absorb that. So running shoes are specifically important for people that over and under pronate, but they're important for people with the perfect foot as well. I talked about monitoring mileage. Okay, so gear. Let's quickly talk about gear. Gear is not necessarily, you know, shoes are essential, and then after that start investing in gear pieces that will help you. Most marathons, it's really a lot smarter to train for a marathon in the winter, although that sounds horrible to run outside in the snow and rain, but it's a lot more horrible to run your race in the heat. And so if you train in the winter, you get this lovely spring marathon where it feels great outside, and you know, the heat will suck you dry and you won't be able to get a good time and you won't feel good. So it's best to just invest in some things for the winter that will help you feel comfortable. I like Drymax clothing. All of my stuff is black, but it's also important to get some colorful stuff as well, especially if you're going to be running early in the morning, which is another important thing to do, again, so that the heat doesn't hit you if you went running at, say, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon in the middle of the summer. So I actually, this doesn't have zip pockets, but if you're going to invest in a jacket, I recommend zip pockets, because all of this stuff is stuff that you need to incorporate into your run. These have pockets on the inside, so I utilize that, but zip pockets are great. This is the Champion by C9 brand. It's by Target. I really like their stuff. because it's half the cost of Under Armour, and it's still really great. I think that it functions just as well. This is another Dry Max top by Champion for C9. Again, they're about $15 at Target as opposed to maybe $40 at Sports Authority. Another important option is to get fitted for a running bra. This is just a thin basic one, but some people need more support, so it's important to go invest in one of those. And don't feel uncomfortable asking an associate. They do that kind of stuff all the time and they want to help you. I do like the more expensive Under Armour brand for your running tights in the winter. It's a really valuable thing to have some comfortable running tights. And these are like fleece lined, so they'll help keep you warmer. Also in the winter, these are $1 at the dollar store, but they will save your ears and keep you from getting sick. They're a great thing to have. Polarized sunglasses. These are Ray-Bans. If you can get prescription ones, if you have bad vision, that's a really good idea too. In the summer, it's great to have a hat. This is also a Dry Max hat. It'll keep you cooler, wick away the sweat off your head. If you have a really warm race that's in the summertime, you want a hat, and probably a white one. If you have injuries, knee problems, lots of runners have runner's knee, or I can't remember, we'll talk about that in a second, patellar tendonitis or something. You put this under your patella, which is right here under your knee, and it will take away the pain. It lifts your knee up so that you're not banging together. This is called a speed belt. It's really stretchy. It stretches a lot, so you can carry a lot of stuff. It's great for race day. You can put your ID in there and your gels, which we'll talk about in a second, your key, and it's comfy, easy to use. You can get this at any running store. For those that are interested in improving their time and getting really serious about running, I highly recommend Garmin Forerunner. It's a watch that will tell you your pace and your heart rate, and how far you've gone, so it's really, really convenient. Another option that is a little cheaper than that actually is if you already have an iPod, one of the earlier generations, you can buy this little extension. It's called Nike Plus iPod. You plug it into your iPod, and it'll also tell you your pace and how far you've gone, and that's convenient. I don't think it's quite as accurate as this, but it works well. You're going to want to invest, and these aren't good ones, but I'm using them for the example. Some earbuds that really stay in. Music is a great thing to have. You can put some good playlists on there, Eye of the Tiger, and some stuff to really motivate you, and it'll help you increase your pace a lot actually, and take your mind off it. I like to utilize my iPod after I've been running about 8 miles, because then it's kind of a reward and something new that will help me get through the rest of my long run. This comes with the Garmin Forerunner. Put it under your chest right here, and your heart rate will show up, and we'll talk about heart rate in the next segment. Let's just get through the last couple of things. We'll talk about hydration as well in the next segment. This is something that you put around your waist so that you can have your fluids with you, which are very important. I like to carry wet wipes. A lot of runners have problems when, running helps speed up the digestive system, and so it's nice to have wet wipes when you have to go to the gas station. Vitamins are important. Glucosamine will help your joints. You need to take it on a regular basis. Also, Celadrin is a great option. Magnesium will help with muscle support. I like to do ibuprofen, and it's smart to take it at mile 8 on a long run, and also about mile 18 or 19. It'll help you if you're having joint pain. This stuff is great. It's from a company called Niken. It's called Cetyl Myristoyate. You put it on your joints, your knees, your feet, and it will just take away the pain. Your feet, your knees will feel great. Get some temporary relief. Vaseline. You want to put Vaseline anywhere that is going to chafe, under your arms, under your chest, in between your legs. They also have anti-specific chafing gel at running stores, but I think this is cheaper and works just as great. And we will talk about fuel and hydration in segment 2, and I will see you then.